Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Connected Series, a venture by Frames Alumni Association. Today, we have with us Mr. Shimon Johnson as a guest speaker. Welcome sir, glad to have you here today. So moving on with the interview, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for today. Mr. Shimon Johnson is a computer engineering alum from the class of 2017 at FCRIT. As a pastry chef, stand-up comic, software engineer, management consultant turned product manager, he enjoys bringing his arsenal of various skills into every conversation. He's a grad from the class of COVID-19 and pursued his higher education in software engineering from Rochester Institute of Technology in New York. Most recently, Mr. Shimon has been busy building the next generation of office productivity applications at Microsoft, namely Microsoft Loop as a product manager, and posts his 9 to 5 routine dabbles in making people laugh with his jokes if not asleep. So my first question, sir, is what skills do you think students need to brush upon other than coding in the software field? And what programming languages do you expect a student to know while hiring them?
First is being able to present and being able to present very succinctly and being able to present very confidently. Now that comes with, you practicing multiple times in front of different crowd sizes. So for me as a stand-up comic, going on stage and making people laugh has really helped me build that skill. So for me, now when I have to present at work, I don't feel the anxiousness or the nerves that, I would have probably felt like, 5 years back in time. Now moving on to the second part of your question as to which programming language, I think what you use to solve a problem is not the important aspect. How you solve the problem is the more critical aspect. And is that problem worth solving? So I think it boils down to, your choice of whatever programming language you want to choose, as long as you're able to solve it correctly and able to have your logic run through it. So it just boils down to that, I think.
For students aspiring to pursue masters in the US, what would be the prerequisites?
Number one prerequisite would be to stuff as much of your mom-made or homemade masalas as you can with your favorite snacks, because the moment you land in America, for me, I had a huge cultural change of sorts, because I had always seen America in movies as this, oh my god, it's this amazing shiny new place. But when I landed in Rochester, it was a total setback and a shock for me, because it was more like a village in India, I would say. So and that's very common out here for most university towns or cities to be very 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 different in its layout and its environment. So I think it just boils down to you being able to have your favorite food out there, which really puts you in the mindset and helps ease out from that stress of not being at home and not seeing your parents, and just calms you down, I think. So that's one. Second prerequisite is openness to learn about different cultures, because I've seen people at my university stick to their groups of ethnicities. So say for instance, an Indian would only stick to an Indian group of friends, and that's where I think global education fails, because we need to realize that we're coming out to make friends from different walks of life, and also different cultures and different places from the world, because that's what the promise of higher education in America promises you. So I think being able to be open to that, being able to embrace that, even if that means you have less desi friends, I think that's completely fine. As long as you're able to learn about a different ethnicity, a different culture, I think that's very important.
Moving on to the next question. What would be your advice on the important aspects that essentially need to be reflected on the candidate's resume, which would highlight the achievements effectively?
I think this boils down to the fact being that every bullet point on your resume needs to be more of an accomplishment and less of a job responsibility that you had. It's purely all about the impact that you've had, no matter what place you worked at or interned at. It can be a small startup, it can be your own business that you're running on the side, being a full-time student, or it could be some internship experience at some big tech company. It does not matter. I think what matters is the impact that you've driven and you being able to call that out very clearly and succinctly in your bullet point. And I think one thing that I've also noticed is like it makes sense to only keep your resume to a page. Having multiple pages of your resume just clouds, your impact. Makes me feel as a reviewer that you don't probably think or prioritize your skills properly. So making sure that your bullet points are very succinct and very tight is crucial to, I think, having a resume that really stands out and speaks in your favor.
As a product manager, what are the key responsibilities that are being addressed by you?
I spend a lot of my time looking at data dashboards and trying to predict trends before they even happen within like our customer behavior. So I particularly work on Microsoft Office's productivity suite. So that's basically Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Visio. I spend a lot of my time looking at analytics from these dashboards that we have that talk about product metrics and business metrics to kind of understand where it is that our customer is having a problem. Like, is this a bug that's causing a particular metric to fall down, or is this a bug that's inflating a metric? Being able to do some amount of analysis and root cause analysis is something that I spend a lot of my time on. I think the second thing that it boils down to is also this constant evolution of experiments, because a product is always changing, and it's changing according to its audiences. So being able to make sure that our product moves with time in the future in the right direction requires a lot of experimentation. So I run a lot of A/B tests and then again analyze behavior across these different A/B tests to understand what has worked well in the product, what has not worked well in the product. Apart from that, I spend a lot of my time talking to consumers or customers. They could be people like you who use Office productivity suite for schoolwork. It could be someone like my mom who works at the governmental firm, and like they use Office products very differently versus commercial users or business users for that instance. So I spend a lot of my time talking to these different customers from these different segments, trying to understand what best could we do in our product and how they use our product. And I think the final thing that I do on my job is take a lot of my time to brainstorm the next best scenario to unlock customer value. It's all about understanding what problems to solve as well, right? It's not just like what problem you're solving, but is that problem worth solving is something that's critical. So I spend a lot of my time brainstorming on that and the new features that need to be shipped as part of our product.
The last question of this interview, what message would you like to give to the students of FCRIT, sir?
I think I am a product manager who's first a baker, who then is a stand-up comic. And I think I get a lot of those skills with me on the job, which is why people on my team say that I'm quite finesse to them. So it just boils down to the fact of you being able to take the time to explore some skills outside of, engineering, outside of, your usual books. Your pointer does not matter. At least in the last 2 years that I have walked through with regards to COVID, it just boils down to how determined you are to get what you want, and what are you willing to do for it. I think so take the time to do it and build relationships within your college community as much as you can, because I think there are some things in life that you can't share with your family, you can't share with your significant other. So sometimes just having those outlets and having those friends to play devil's advocate is a very crucial thing, I would say. So take the time to invest in those skills and build those relationships, I would say.
Thank you for this wonderful message. With this, we come to an end of our interview. I would like to thank you on behalf of Frames Alumni Association for joining us today and enlightening us with your skills and knowledge you've acquired in this field. Thank you, sir.